Hello and welcome to Rio's Positive POV. Today I want to talk about my top 10 favourite Pixar movies. So for me, Pixar is by far the best animation studio and is one of the just best studios about. They clearly just do not miss. Every single film they make for me is amazing, and I wanted to challenge myself and pick my top 10. So in this list, I'm literally just going to go through a brief description and why I enjoyed a film. I won't be going too much into the animation and story because the story and animation in all these films is impeccable, and I would just be repeating myself every single film. So without further ado, top 10 time, let's go. Number 10, we have Monsters, Inc. Monsters, Inc. was directed by Pete Docter and was released in 2001. The movie focuses on two monsters, Mike and Sully, who work for Monsters, Inc., a company which generates energy from scaring children. And when one of these children come into their furry little lives, it completely changes their outlook on everything, not just the scaring industry. This movie for me was very emotional, very heartfelt. I was only 11 at the time when it came out, and it's one which has definitely grew with me throughout the years, and a movie which I've watched many times, and one which just had to go on this for its nostalgia reasons. So number 10, Monsters, Inc. Number 9, we have Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 was released in 2010 and is of course the trilogy completer of the Toy Story series. Of course we have Toy Story 4 which came out, but we don't really count that in the trilogy. Toy Story 3 for me was a great addition to the Toy Story mythology, should we call it. The fact it added so many new characters into it, a new environment, and allowed the story to feel fresh, which is very hard to do with a concept like Toy Story. So for me, Toy Story 3 just had to be on the list, and it's not the only Toy Story on the list, I can tell you that. So let's get into number 8. Number 8. In number 8 we have Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo was released in 2003 and focuses on Marlin, a fish who has lost his son Nemo and goes searching throughout the ocean and meets all kinds of fishes, sharks, turtles along the way, and is a very heartfelt movie once again. Why do I love this movie? I love sharks, I love turtles, I love fish. It's pretty much that simple. You throw in all the normal Pixar stuff that goes with it, and this is a movie which I was always going to enjoy. Number 8, Finding Nemo. In number 7 we have The Incredibles 2. The Incredibles 2 was released in 2018 and like the original film is directed by Brad Bird once again. The movie builds on the superhero universe and introduces us to many other characters. It also shows us how the superheroes actively affected normal people back when superheroes were legal. So it adds a completely different dynamic to the story. And I love The Incredibles so much that the second movie was always going to be a good one. The only reason it's not higher up on the list is because it's a little less original. It didn't feel as fresh as when the first movie came out. So number 7, The Incredibles 2. Number 6, we have Up, another movie which was directed by Pete Docter. This movie focuses on Carl, a widower who goes in search of his wife's dream holiday destination, Paradise Falls, with only his house, a load of balloons attached, and an annoying little Cub Scout. This for me is, like I mentioned, one of the most emotional movies in the Pixar film series and is just a truly heartfelt movie from start to finish. It also shouldn't be as funny as it is with the emotional parts to it, but it really is a really funny and emotional movie and one which definitely had to be on the list. Number 5, and number 5 we have Wally. Wally was released in 2008 and is directed by Andrew Stanton. The movie follows the self-titled robot who is on Earth cleaning rubbish when he finds the love of his life in Eve. The journey they go on together will completely change mankind forever. This movie is very thought-provoking. It has a very strong message and still manages to be a very enjoyable and funny movie. So Wall-E, number 5, had to be on it. Number 4 we have Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 was released in 1999 and was directed by John Lasseter. The movie is the follow-up of the hit Toy Story and the one which really kicked Pixar off. It is a movie which follows in the footsteps of Toy Story 1, but introduces us to many new and enjoyable characters and adds a different aspect on top of the movie and shows that all toys are not loved always by the people who own them. So Toy Story 2 had to be on the list. Great film. Number 3, we have Ratatouille. Ratatouille is all about a rat who lives in Paris and he just wants to be a cook. But then again, how is a rat ever meant to be a cook? What he does is he finds a young and vulnerable, terrible chef and he uses him to utilize his cooking abilities. This movie is truly an outstanding movie, and it was a toss-up between this and my top 2 about who was going to be number 1. It is a great movie, a fun, enjoyable movie, and one which I believe they show in cooking school, which is slightly a little bit weird considering it's a rat cooking food, but who knows, eh? Number 3, Ratatouille. In number two, we have the one which kicked off the Pixar hype train, Toy Story. Toy Story for me was such a cool concept. It was such a innovative concept as well. The fact that your toys would come alive and they would live in their own lives when you were gone was something which completely blew my mind when I was a child, which is when this movie came around. For nostalgia, this one is number 1 on the list. And I think many people my age, around the 30 mark, would have grown up loving this movie. So, number 2, Toy Story. Number 1, we have the movie which pretty much says in the title what it is. The Incredibles. The Incredibles was directed by Brad Bird and is truly an outstanding movie. From top to bottom, from voice cast to animation to characters to just everything about this movie is just quality. It's my favourite animation movie of all time, and it's just one of my all-time favourite movies of all time, animation or not. The movie has some truly funny moments, some really heartfelt moments, again delivers a great message, and also really and truly kind of maybe kicked off the superhero genre in a way and added a different aspect which we hadn't normally seen. So number 1, we have The Incredibles, and that is my top 10 Pixar list. Let me know in the comments what you thought and where you rank the Pixar movies.